Hi, I'm Denise Dryden, and I've got Ashley Fraunheiser, and the two of us are on series number 7 of the Gen X series. I know, we've done this 7 times.
That's amazing. I love it.
I love this. And we're getting a lot of comments, and we're getting we're stirring some things up. And I really like the idea that this series is fun for you and I to do, and it's fun for our listeners to watch. So if you're watching this, and subscribe, and then pass it around, share it, because today what we're going to do is we're going to pick up on the divine 8 that we carried from last week forward. And the diamond energy, the diamond frequency on our planet is the frequency of 8. And so, if you've read or if you're familiar with the indigo assignment, what I did was talk about the new earth kids, or new energy kids, excuse me, which is the indigo, the crystal, the rainbow, and the diamond children, and how they've been sequentially placed. What do I want to say? Their frequency has been embedded into incarnated children so that the frequency keeps expanding on our planet, right? And the reason that Ashley's a diamond aficionado, like she knows diamonds, and we've been holding back on, there's indigos, there's crystals, there's so much information we want to talk about, yet what we want to do today is put the indigo, the Gen Xer, those of you that are between 57 and 33, your generation. Go ahead.
And 40, because 33 is a millennial.
Oh, I put 89 is when yes, you're right. Yeah, that's 34. Okay. Yeah.
But you know what? Use that bracket, because that makes sense. So anybody from that age, 33 to 47, that would make sense. So there is going to always be bleed over. It's fine.
Oh, of course. It's and we know generations kind of move, and this is a Gen X series. So the Gen Xers are actually birthing the diamonds. So that's why we want to start really playing with the diamond energy. So diamonds are, they came, well, I'm just going to start asking you questions, because I could talk forever, as you guys know. So Ashley, let's talk about, when did the diamonds start arriving on the earth?
Well, this frequency of this light frequency, and we'll just call it a light frequency for the sake that it could something that people can, kind of get in their imagination pretty easily. The light frequency kind of landing on in a corporeal vessel or earth suit wasn't really able to come in anytime before, like between 2008 to 2009, that would have been very early. More would start coming around 2014, 15, but very sporadically placed around, because how they were presenting the earlier diamonds, even though they're all still very on the younger side, even the ones that are coming in first, they were presenting with what would have been called, as a clinician, because I'm a licensed clinical social worker as well, so I can speak to this. And I used to do a lot of training in the very secular stuff for any child that's on the spectrum. I used to train people that worked with people. I used to work very much hands-on stuff like that too. I still do it, but I do it in an integrative way now. I don't use old, outdated Pavlovian things. Because
it's almost metaphysical in how we approach,
and that's the most success I've had with any soul is by reaching the soul, not by working as if they were a problem to be fixed. So once it got to that point, let's just look back in our brief history, in our recent history. If you are a person who knows somebody who, let's just say, has been diagnosed on the ASD spectrum, autism spectrum disorder, and that's a huge spectrum. That also includes ADD, ADHD, any kind of learning disorder, any kind of occupational or physical, it looks like maybe they're having kind of a hard time. But what these, so if you've got some familiarity with that, looking at that, so keep that as a frame of reference. So when you reach the time when this kind of frequency was coming in, it differs from the crystal, it differs from the rainbow, because those two specifically were able to hold down what was necessary to have this light come back to earth. Now, this this light from the diamond is of the earth. These children that are incarnating in this body at this time, or since 2009, have not been on earth since Lemuria.
Wow. I wasn't sure how long it had been. And
Very
I also
long time. When my son was born, and I knew this before my youngest son was born, and he is, and that's why I have both, like I would not be able to speak to any of this had I not been, because he's now 5 years old. So I wouldn't be able to do this. So I'm coming from a professional in the clinical realm, coming from as a professional, as a metaphysician, and also as a parent of this type of, as a parent in this dynamic. Okay. So you got all three. And I learned,
a learning parent who's discovering a brand new frontier at the same time.
Denise, I was able to put this together. This is very new. This is not something you won't hear. You'll hear indigo or crystal or rainbow quite frequently in this kind of a community of frequency and, you know, any kind of esoteric or more metaphysical stuff as it relates to spiritual things. But you won't hear diamond in this. It's because this is very new. And this is something that Denise brought to my attention, because Denise, as far as I know, you could look up things about diamond energies, but you won't see diamond child, okay, until Denise brought that up. As far as I know, you know, I don't know of anybody else who said this, but I really would like for people to start seeing that as it is, because it's very much on point. So this frequency has been, it's been on Earth, but not for a very, very, very long time. So I knew when he was born, I was like, he hasn't been here for a very long time, but he has been here because he has that, like there's a part of him and all of these children that remembers the Earth as it was, and at the time of Lemuria. This is even before Atlantis, okay? But so don't think Atlantis, think before Atlantis, okay? They were light. Like the physical body was not as dense as it is now, if at all, okay? So that's where they have been to Earth, but it has been quite a while since they have been on this planet. So occupying the corporeal, the physical Earth suit, your vessel, is new. They came in knowing how to do a lot of things. Denise and I would work, and I'd work with Denise. She would like have little things that it was almost like Mr. Captain Kirk having all the information, but then being like, oh my, wait, I didn't consider that I was going to be in a land of giants. Like, okay.
Or that I wasn't going to be able to use my hands very well. And I was going to have to learn how to feed myself and use the body and like these things that are human challenges, yet from such a superb intelligence that it's like, you've got to be kidding me.
They're so earthbound only, like they're physical earth conditions, like things like, you know, the most basic fundamental things that you don't have to teach, let's say, your neurotypical child. Like, here's a spoon. It innately becomes a thing that they do this with. For kids of this frequency in the earlier stages, it's getting much, much better because they're quick. This is so 8.0 frequency. This is fast. This is the tachyon speed that they're able to. Once they're here, the ones that come next, they are able to then get the information somehow from the ones that are already here. And the ones that are here right now can be here because of the ones before, like the crystals, the rainbows, the indigos, to hold the frequency so that they can come in knowing that they can bring this light to the world in a way that is so pure. And because they're purists, they're come in at a baseline of such it's almost immeasurable compassion. They aren't here to please, to even do, they're here because they are love in that grandest form. Like, you don't have to teach them love. You don't have to teach them.
They come holding love. And I want to ground this in, because when we're talking about beings of light, it's almost like we don't know how to understand that. So, you know, these are our future creators. These are the ones who are going to take Earth into the Aquarian age, into the age of light. So they are the technicians, they're the innovators. So they have these masteries inside of them, but they're not here to honor the past. or to hold the density of the 3D. They're here to sort of learn and then start to take us forward fast. And this I thought was a really good way for us to sort of show how it's grounded in. This is the thought deck, the Aleister Crowley, and this is the Princess of Disc. This is his favorite card and most tarot readers' favorite card within the deck because it's the Princess of Disc. She's pregnant with a new life form. She's bringing something new that doesn't exist, and it's a wasteland of nothing that has been thriving. And so she's holding this staff, and at the end of the staff is a diamond, and wherever she's touching it into the ground, it's starting to flourish and turn green. So you have the book. Can you read that section?
What it says here is the staff in her right hand extends above the border of the painting into the heavens and bears a light radiant crystal at the other end. And this crystal is a diamond, and it represents the birth of the highest form of light. This bearer of light has been created in the earth, darkest of all the elements, and now is able to bring light back to the earth. So that is the key feature that's beautiful, because of these children, when you are around one, they're incredibly commanding of your attention. They can get you to do all sorts of things because you become completely paralyzed in something that is very unfamiliar to you, human, it has been unfamiliar to me because I was conditioned to love, thinking that I was as a human being. We are in love as a condition. These children are not in love as a condition. They are in love just as in love. And love without condition is foreign to many human beings, okay? So when we are placed in the frequency and this magnetism of what is that pure love, we are almost like paralyzed. Like, what do? Because it's foreign to us, but it makes us we have no choice but to feel like we are being flooded with something that is so powerful and commanding. And that was the experience that I had. And I still continue to have that. And the people that encounter these beings, they are not conditionable. Do not expect these people to do what you want them to do because of an external condition that you hold in your belief system. Okay.
Whether it's holidays, whether it's, say thank you, whether it is, the traditional parent-child relationship. And one of the things that vibration of love can be moved up into such a high pitch, into such a what do we want to call it? A high energetic shrill, and down into the lowest form of compassion. And so they can hold this vibrational spectrum of sound, of light, of emotions, of being on such a profound level. And they're still learning how to manage that within the density of Earth. So sometimes they come out too loud. Sometimes they come out, they can't find their physicality. Sometimes it's certain, so what you and I've explored,
but they're so in their body at the same time.
Exactly.
They're a paradox. They are the embodiment of the divine paradox, in my opinion. And it's really cool. That's what keeps landing to me right now. And I'm not, I'm not a person who would call myself any Star Wars expert by any means, because that's really not my thing. But I'm using this as an example because it's coming to me and it's being thrown at me. If you've seen The Mandalorian, a lot of people are familiar with The Mandalorian. The child, okay, is what we call Baby Yoda. I think he has a different name because it's not the same thing, but whatever. That being, if you've seen the show, like right in the beginning, he's like looking at him and he has nothing he can say. Like, he's not like, you're going to listen to me, you're going to do this. He says nothing. And the Mandalorian doesn't say much anyway, because he's got that helmet on all the time. But regardless, he's just kind of like, almost like, he doesn't let him do right away because he's like broken in the beginning, and the little guy goes over, the child goes over, he's going to heal him, but he keeps picking him up and putting him back in the little moving cradle thing and doesn't let him. And he's like, okay. But then when he falls on the ground, it's covered with mud. This is the first encounter with the power that the child holds. He really puts it in and he saves him, right? And then he's like totally out of juice, right? For a little while, needs to sleep because he just moves this big monster. And the guy's like, oh my gosh, right? But before that happened, this is the most important part, I think. He's walking along and he sees a frog and he gets the frog and he eats the frog and he's like, spit that out. And he's like, and he just moves along. He doesn't listen to him because he's going to do what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. And he sees absolutely nothing wrong with that. He was like, spit that out. Like, and he's just like, they don't take it in. They're going to do what they're going to do. You will have, and you have to assume that the things that are of, these are the kids that are going to eat the grass. These are the kids and they don't have pica. These are the kids that are going to eat the dirt and they don't have pica. They are somehow incredibly physically healthy and should not be as per Earth standards because they are surviving on exactly what they need. They are very careful about what they consume because these people were consumers, these beings were consumers of light. So please don't let that deter you. Don't let that make you think, because it did to me, but it led me to where I am. All the things that, like, why isn't he eating anything? Why doesn't he want to, like, holding a cup, not because he couldn't do it, because he could totally do it, but it was like, okay, so to put this, like, this is how you have to get. And it wasn't because he's unintelligent, because my child, he could read at the age of 1 phonetically in multiple languages. He understands multiple languages. He's incredibly bright. He's also a performer. And when you're in his presence, you'll be like, I feel like I'm high, like new people, but you have to be in his vibration. These children know if people are in a lower vibration, they don't stay near you. They won't bother you. They won't scream, but they will leave you alone. They will not bother to help. But if you are a person who really needs it, like my son, if someone's really having a hard time, he will go over and just be like, it's okay, or huggy, and he'll give them a hug and then they'll feel better. But he is very careful, much like that little child. It's not the same thing, but I'm trying to run something so people can grasp this concept. They're not going to overstep, but if it comes down to it, they know, and they can do these amazing things. And they're also capable of doing all of the Earth 5 sense stuff, like vibrating, noise, seeing, reading, understanding. They understand. Their imagination is tremendous. So don't let anybody tell you that it's not, ever, when it comes to these children. They will present as a little bit differently in different degree. Okay. So it's a gift if you have one of these children. Is it for a punk? No. So just know if you have one.
Let's talk about the age group of the parents that were selected for these diamond kids. Yeah.
Younger Gen X parents initially. Nobody young, no 20-year-old was going to have one of these frequencies, because it has to be initially in a place that could support this energy and not dismiss it. Because it just breeds compassion. It just emanates love. When you crush a diamond, you get more. So you can't snuff it out. What cuts a diamond is another diamond. Like, that's how you can get one through. So consider yourself, if you are a parent of one of these amazing people, you are one too, because you're the one that could cut it through you. And the other biological parent too, specifically.
When it seems to me that because the indigos are so embedded within the Gen Xers, that the indigos have that warrior rebel spirit, which is, oh, hell no, you're not doing that with my kid. You're not doing that with my kid. This is what we're going to create. This is what we're going to do. We've talked about education in a previous session. And then, you know, the sheer concept of having that kind of warrior rebel as a parent makes sense when you have, you know, think of Terminator and Sarah, what was her John, what was his name? John, you know, oh God, this is hilarious. Anyway, she was the mother who was birthing the leader of the future. So they sent a Terminator back to terminate the pregnancy and to make sure that he was never born. This is why we have indigo Gen Xer parents, which is like, we are rock solid warriors, which is like, fuck no, you are not going to do this to our children. So we even have some crystalline early scout crystalline who really understand that vibration. And those are the ones who are in the school systems now, who are holding the vibrational sort of softer nurturing that these diamond kids are going to need as they grow up and go through their onto their paths.
That is the coolest thing, because we have points of reference to go to that are true experts, that aren't just ones that learned. And even just, I'm sorry, if I'm going to learn the trapeze, I want to have somebody who has swung on that trapeze and fallen and not been cared for, so that they are the one, and they still keep at it, because they are the ones that know what to do, what does work, what doesn't work. And they know that they are just a wealth of knowledge. So like, I, for a period of time, only would read things written by people on the spectrum as it relates to certain things, because that's what I was trying to get at. And one of the most successful people, I mean, she's older at this point, and there's more behind her, that are coming up. It was Temple Grandin, because she was the first person who was able to voice and write and express what was happening. Before that, we had somebody like Helen Keller, who was able to give that, like, and they are that, but now there's more and more and more than just two. And Helen Keller wasn't on the ASD spectrum, but
imagine having like a galactic Ein Sof is the terminology that I was given, which is all that is in this light spectrum coming down through this very tight human corporeal body, and trying to figure out how to hold this inside, and what the challenges would be. And there's massive intelligence, massive vibrational awareness, massive energetic movement and fluidity in a body that, or I should say, in a social structure that has no idea how to label or how to treat or how to educate or how to mandate anything for this kind of energy. So, whether it's the ASD that has some of the best tools for right now, it's a mess. It's kind of like if this is the entire ASD platform, it's like this much of it right here sort of works, and all the rest of it doesn't. And what we've seen with your son is like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Nope, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
But the coolest part is that because of the work that you and I have done, and that, we've done with people like, Susie Miller and with Susie Miller, it's like, you then, when I talk, or when I work with like a parent or even a child, because I've always worked with children and I'm a hands-on person, like I'm a micro, and like I work with these people. Like I don't just talk about it. So, but when I give the suggestions that I've learned, they work instantly, and they're far-fetched. They're not conventional things, but they're very simple. They're so simple. They're unambiguous, but they're so, because we live in this culture still, but it's getting better, and it's always getting better all the time, that if we move the conditioning away, even if I'm not telling you that you don't have to have conditioning, that's up to you. Do what you want. I'm not telling you.
I'm going to say that.
Get rid of it. I also don't like it, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. If you like certain aspects, go ahead. But if you put it on suspension, suspend it. Say, okay, you're suspended, and just kind of suspend it in a little place and be like, now give it to me. Now tell me. It'll be so simple. The thing will be like, instead of, eat this, it'll be like, here, why don't you lick this spoon? That is so simple, but that works. Okay, think about exactly what you're trying to get across right now as a one-word phrase, and hold the word in your mind in a field of energy calmly. And then all of a sudden the child does it, because you're meeting them at their level. Then you have to come from a place of compassion for yourself, appreciation for yourself, gratitude for yourself, and love for you. And when you are there, then you can hook into them. Then they can hook into what you're here to guide them to do, because you are their guide, because you cannot assume that they are going to understand these are basics, but they'll get them quickly once they get them. They get them quickly once they get them. They understand it perfectly, but the process and you cannot punish them. It won't work. It has to be a collaboration or to their advantage so that it's functionally sense making to them. And they won't do things that don't make sense to them. They're not here because they have a purpose and they know that purpose. They may not voice that purpose to you, but as a parent to them, you will know what that purpose sort of is when they give you little pieces of it. You are not meant to figure them out.
No, you're meant to figure you out, that's
the most critical part.
I think the most crucial part of my work with you was when we were problem solving and figuring out how do you deal with an energetic being is that your own self-knowledge, your own idea of where you get triggered, where you have reactions, where you have hurts and pains, where you have these conditioned responses. And then so it was self-knowledge, and then it was stability and adaptability, which is, like you said, how can I grab a hold of where I'm stuck and just suspend it for a minute and then telepathically talk to my child from a place of wisdom and confidence. So we have to be really aware of ourselves and our energy field in order to parent these kids.
Right. And if you are a parent to a child who, even if this rings true to you in some way, or somebody who is, think about what you were like when you were little and what your favorite things were and what you really enjoyed, because I would be very surprised to hear that you didn't really love magical things. And we're very intuitive and we're very gifted psychically or intuitively, clairvoyant, whatever, clair-wise. And and it was fun at that time. And when they were born, you weren't, oh, this is going to hit me big time. When they were born, you were not meant to stop playing. Don't stop playing. They weren't meant to stop your playing. They're not meant to fix. They're so beautiful. And they're meant for your playfulness to come out, because that is when you are in your highest vibration, so that you can receive and teach them and guide them. They have something to grab onto in the energy field. And it's so beautiful. And it's like, I get overwhelmed by the love of God all the time, as Denise knows, but that was a moment because that was really powerful. Like, that's what we must do. And I am so grateful for the work that Denise has done. So I highly recommend, if you are a person that, is interested in this, that you continue to follow these videos, because we're going to go more into next time, I believe, about the magical things. Give questions to Denise, call Denise, get coaching sessions from Denise, or you can always call me too, but Denise has been the one that has helped me see this in a way that was I find so specific, that I would never be able to be in this space talking with her and with an audience like the ones that are drawn to this. It's amazing. It's an absolute gift. And just now I've turned myself, and I'm not weeping. I just had an emotion. I don't care. I don't feel 1 ounce of shame or guilt or, I don't care, because that's what they are like that. Just keep on going. They don't take it in. They just give it out, and then they're not afraid of emotion. They're amazing. And it's a gift to have this frequency on this planet. And I'm so grateful for that frequency, crystals, the indigos, the rainbow, all of it. I'm grateful for every human being on this planet, because we didn't have the people that didn't necessarily but we all are embodying these frequencies because they're present on this planet. So we're all at the same time playing a huge part in it. So just know it's a wonderful time to be here. And what you want to create is creatable.
It's fabulous.
And thank you.
You showed us what it is to create that playfulness, that awareness, that vulnerability, all these key points that we have different teachers talking to us about, which is, self-care, vulnerability, courage. These are the things that we embody when we are around these children. And I'm so thankful that you showed us just, where that emotion can so purely come through. So we're going to wind this down today, because we want to save some for next time, which is right before the holiday, around it's going to be actually on the solstice. So let's use the solstice to talk about diamonds.
And I'm going to I do know that we'll probably offer a nice transmission that you can take in with you into that time. So thank you so much, Denise, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. And make sure to subscribe and pass this around if you know anyone who has a child like what we're talking about. Or if you have any questions, please put them in the comments so we can address them next week. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
I have to go.